Hi, this is Stacy Sanchez from Heart Prince of God. And today I just wanted to share with you what God shared with me this morning as I was reading in His holy word. He has had me now in the book of Mark. I've just been slowly making my way through the Gospel of Mark. And today I was reading in Mark chapter 6. There is just so much to take in each of these accounts that Mark shares with us. But today I was reading, and I have to say that, I've heard these stories before as I am reading the book of Mark, and sometimes we can get a familiarity with stories that we don't always see what's there. We don't always see with fresh eyes what is there. But today God opened my eyes to this particular part of this probably very familiar story that I'm going to share with you. And it happens after Jesus fed the 5,000 there in Mark chapter 6. It says that Jesus made the disciples go in the boat and go across the water there. But what spoke to me was, and it goes on to say that then Jesus went up to pray while the disciples were gone. And it said it was early evening when that happened. But then it says later on, He saw them out on the water, struggling there with these high winds that had kicked up, and they're, struggling there in the boat. He saw them. He saw them. He's way over on the land. It's nighttime. It's pitch black. He saw them in the midst of that storm and in the midst of that struggle. He saw them. Those three words jumped off at the page to me today. I don't think I've ever saw or realize Stacy never saw that He saw them. That's what I'm trying to say. I've read that a million times. Well, not a million, but I read it several times. I've never saw He saw them. He saw them in the midst of that storm. And what that said to me was, sometimes God sends us in a certain direction, right? He calls us to a certain place, and we're there and we're struggling. The winds are blowing. It's hard. We're meeting all this resistance. And sometimes we can feel so alone in that storm. But He sees us. He sees us in it. And that's what Good Friday reminds us of most of all. When Jesus was on the cross, when He was going through His own storm, when He was even before the cross, there in the garden, and He was struggling and He was pleading with God to make a different way, He saw us. He saw us just like He saw Nathaniel, right? Under the fig tree. Whenever, was it Andrew called Nathaniel and he said, come see? No, Philip. When Philip called Nathaniel and he said, come see, and Philip comes up there to Jesus, Jesus goes, I saw you when you were under the fig tree. He sees us. When we were there in our sin, He saw us. When He was on the cross, He saw us. When the disciples were in the storm, He saw them. He sees you. Don't for a minute allow the enemy or your own self or anyone or anything to make you think that you are out of God's sight, out of His care, out of His thoughts, out of His mind. He sees you. He sees you. And that seeing the disciples there brought Him walking to them on the water. And then they saw Him in a way they never had before, right? So God sees us. He knows where we are. He knows what's happening, and He is aware of it. We simply need to trust Him in it, because just like with the disciples, He will come walking into our situation. He's already aware of it. He's already gone ahead. He knows. He sees you. Today, I know that's a word for somebody. On the cross, He saw you. In your situation, He sees you. In your hospital bed, He sees you. Standing by that new dug grave, He sees you. Sitting alone in your kitchen, He sees you. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, He sees you. And it may be in a crowded room of people, He sees you. How beautiful is that our God sees us, and that seeing us draws Him into action to walk into our life and to do what only He can do. We are never alone because we have God, a risen Savior, a Lord of Lords who is willing to die for us. Today, know that He sees you, and allow that to open your eyes to see Him in ways you never have before. All right, keep looking for those heart prints and have a beautiful, blessed day.